Queen Camila walked right up to the tomb guard. Her voice cut through the cold air like a regal order. "Salute your queen," she commanded, with all the grace and expectation of a queen. He didn't move or blink. He merely gripped that M14 like it was made from the bones of wars that had been forgotten. His eyes were fixed on the horizon past 400,000 headstones. The crowd gasped. Tourists stopped. Vets in the middle of taking a selfie grumbled. One of the aides looked like he was going to eat his clipboard. To them, he was just another soldier with a stone face playing protocol chicken with a crown. But no one in that holy square knew, neither the Secret Service suits hovering nearby, nor the protocol hacks scrambling for damage control, that this tomb guard had buried a princess's secret 28 years underground. And the one man who could blow it wide open was a 4-star general rolling up in a black Suburban, badges shining, and Diana's dying words burning in his pocket. Before we get into the story, make sure you are subscribed and have the bell icon switched on for more amazing stories. Please tell us from where you are watching this from, and drop a like. If you think that principles like honor, bravery, and sacrifice still exist, help us preserve their memory alive. It's a clear fall day in Virginia, and the leaves are turning a brilliant crimson and gold. They crunch under your boots like they're telling you secrets from the earth. Arlington National Cemetery looks like a sea of white marble headstones, with row after row of them, each one a narrative cut short. More than 400,000 people are buried here, including heroes from every conflict America has ever fought. From the Revolution to the never-ending dunes of the Middle East, the air smells like wet dirt and fallen leaves, and there is a slight, strong fragrance of gunpowder from the wreath-laying ceremonies that occurs almost every day. Sergeant Elias Kane stands in the middle of it all, at the tomb of the unknown soldier. He is 42 years old and has the body of an oak tree that has been through a few hurricanes. He was tall and skinny, with a jaw that could break walnuts. The wrinkles in his clothing are so sharp that you could shave with them. The kepi cap is low over his eyes, and the dark glasses hide a look that has seen too much. The M14 rifle is slung across his chest, and the bayonet is fastened to it so that it looks like it's ready for anything that might come up. Elias has been on duty for 2 hours and hasn't moved a single muscle, not a single twitch. His heels are locked together, his back is straight, and his gloved hands hold the weapon like it's an extension of his soul. It doesn't matter if my feet are numb from the cold coming up from the stone. Don't worry about the blisters that are forming under those boots. The Sentinel's creed is duty above all. Elias didn't always look like this blue statue. He was only a kid from Ohio 28 years ago, 18 years old, and full of that wide-eyed fire you get when Uncle Sam calls your name. He signed up right after high school, went to basic training, and then went to D.C. for a unique job. That's where he met Princess Diana. Yes, the princess of the people. She was in town for a charity event, shaking hands with politicians and making rooms bright like she owned the place. But Elias wasn't one of the people in the pictures with dazzling brass buttons. He was shadow detailed, which means he was the quiet man in the back who was always looking for threats that don't make the news. It was late, after the large meal at the British Embassy. Diana went outside to smoke, which was an old habit she was trying to break. Elias had to keep an eye on her from the shadows in the garden. Of course she saw him. That woman was good at finding things that other people missed. She said, "You there," in a sweet voice with a British accent that made everything sound like poetry. "What's your name, soldier?" "Ma'am, Elias Kane," he said, coming to attention like an idiot. His heart was racing. He was more scared around her than he was when he was in his first combat. She smiled, and it was the real kind, not the one that came from the camera. He lit a cigarette and offered him one, but he turned it down with a smile. "Smart boy. These things will kill you slowly than the job." But nevertheless, they talked for approximately 5 minutes about how cold it gets in Ohio, how her boys are doing back home, and how the world is too heavy for her young shoulders to bear. But suddenly her face transformed. The light got dimmer. She muttered, "Yes," and looked over her shoulder as if the walls could hear her. "Make me a promise. If something happens to me, like an accident or I just disappear from the spotlight one day, remember that I didn't choose it. Some people get what they want by having others go away while they smile." He believed she might be weary from the flight. "Ma'am, I've never encountered anyone stronger than you. No one is going to make you go away." She held onto his arm tightly, and her claws dug into his sleeve. Her blue eyes were focused on his. "I've learned to trust my gut when someone threatened me with a smile. I saw eyes tonight that had been preparing my escape for months. I'm just a problem for this family. Please don't allow them change anything I wrote. Don't make me a footnote in someone else's story." Yes promised, even though his mother was still alive and well in Cleveland at the time. 3 weeks later, Paris, the tunnel. For a minute, the world stopped moving. Elias hit a wall so violently that he shattered his hand. He maintained his word, though. He buried it deep and channeled it into 2 deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. Sand in his shoes. IEDs that converted friends become ghosts. He made it back and passed the test to join the Old Guard, which is the 3rd Infantry Regiment. Guard duty at the tomb. That's the top. 1 year of rigorous training, 24-hour marches, rifle drills that make your arms scream, and memorizing every gravestone in Arlington like it's your own obituary. Now, on this October day, his mind drifts back to that conversation in the garden as the wind picks up and the flags rattle at half-staff for a visit from a dignitary. On that note, the motorcade is coming in. Black SUVs with windows so black they seemed like they were in the middle of the night, with Secret Service agents in earpieces and shades on either side. Today is Queen Camilla's show. Yes, her. The press call her Charles's better half these days. Official trip to strengthen the special relationship between the UK and the US. Some talks about commerce and a wreath laying at the tomb to remember the sacrifices made by both sides. Arlington has seen its fair share of royals, like Elizabeth, Philip, and even William and Kate. But Camilla, for the first time, and people are talking about it. Emily Torres is trying to control her 8-year-old son Mateo over at the amphitheater. She lives in Sacramento and is here on a trip as a single mom. Divorced, works as a teacher during the day, and loves to gossip about royals at night. Look, mijo, she adds as she lifts him up so he can see better. That's the president's limo right behind hers. And look at those blue guys, the tomb guards. They won't move for anyone, nor rain, nor snow, and not even a queen. Mateo squints as he eats a pretzel. Why not, Mom? She's fancy. Emily chuckles, that carefree California laugh. Kiddo, this place isn't about being fancy. It's about the men who didn't come back. Those guards are standing for every single one of them. Colonel Hank Harlan, who is known as Rusty to his friends, is talking to a group of veterans nearby. After 40 years, Hank, who is now 65, retired. A Gulf War veteran with a prosthetic limb that makes a clicking sound while he walks. He had a white mustache like a broom, and a Vietnam veteran's hat on his head. With a thermos of black coffee in hand, he says, "Listen up," in a heavy Texas accent. Arlington isn't merely a place to bury people. It's a promise. We bury our best here, so that the rest of us may remember that freedom isn't free. And what about those guards? They walk that mat like they're going to Valhalla. A grizzled Korean war vet named Gus nods slowly. You're right. Once I saw JFK put a wreath. The wind was wailing like a banshee, and those boys didn't move. The audience is getting bigger presently. People on vacations sporting fanny packs, groups of students going on field trips, a few Brits waving Union Jacks. Emily's phone is out, and she's shooting the parade. This is going to be great for the gram, she says. Camila is the first to get out of the limo. Very tall, stylish, that navy coat with the soft fur trim and the hat tilted just right. She smiles like she's on a float in the Rose Parade, and waves. With the help of assistants and a few State Department suits, she walks to the tomb plaza and lays the wreath with all the seriousness of a pro. But when she stands up straight, her eyes search the line of important people, the flags snapping in the wind, and they land on Elias. It's there for just a second, like a flicker, like she's seen a ghost. Elias can feel it, the tingle on the back of his neck. 28 years is a long time, yet certain faces stay with you. He doesn't move or blink. He kept his eyes on that invisible point 1,000 yards away, just like he had been taught. The ceremony starts. The bugler plays to the colors. The caisson platoon fires 21 guns, and rifles shatter. The crowd is quiet and respectful. See, Emily whispers to Mateo. This is the best of America. No crowns, no capes, just honor. As Camilla walks by, Hank tips his hat. He says, "Your Majesty," in a voice that is rough but polite. "Welcome to holy ground." She nods, like a queen. "Thanks, Colonel. It makes me feel small. But humbling don't last," Hank says with a half smile. As the formalities come to an end, handshakes and picture ops, Camilla's path changes. The rules indicate she should go straight to the reception tent for refreshments and small talk. But no, she goes off script, and her aides are scrambling to follow up, straight to the grave, toward Elias's post. The crowd feels it. Murmurs move through the oaks like the wind. Emily zooms in on her camera. What the is she doing over there? Hank stands up straight, forgetting about the coffee. Well, I'll be damned, that's not part of the plan. Camilla stops 5 feet away from the black mat where Elias stands guard. She was close enough to smell the polish on his boots and feel the soft leather of her gloves brushing against the air. She tilts her head up because Elias is 6'3" tall, and the smile gets a little tighter. "Sergeant," she says in a clear Oxford tone that is loud enough for the people in the front row to hear, "I think the best guards in your great nation should salute a queen and a guest." The plaza is quiet. There isn't a single leaf moving. "Elias," he doesn't move. "Keep your rifles stable like the TAA, eyes fixed on the front. Protocol is quite clear. Sentinels do not salute people. They protect the unknowns. No exclusions. Not for presidents. Not for popes. Not for queens. That's for sure." Emily takes a deep breath. Mateo's eyes are as big as saucers. Hank says softly, "The boy is doing his job. Let it be." But Camila, she doesn't let things go. Her chin goes up a little. "Maybe you didn't hear that, Sergeant. A modest sign of respect for the bond that ties our countries together. Nothing yet." The wind whistles through the gravestones, bringing with it the faint sound of taps from a service far away. The crowd is moving now. Tourists leaning in, veterans looking at each other. "Oi, give the lady her due," says one Brit in the rear. Emily gives him a sideways look. "This isn't London, buddy. It's Arlington." Camilla's smile stays, but her eyes go smaller. "Tradition says so, Sergeant. Or has the United States forgotten how to show respect to its friends?" Elias's chest rises and falls slowly and evenly. That old promise is like a coal stored too long inside, blazing up. Diana's voice in his thoughts said, "Don't let them change me." He stays still. The stalemate is still going on, as thick as Virginia humidity. And that's when things start to go apart, guys. A loud click may be heard. But it's not Elias. It's from behind the cordon. Boots on rocks. General Marcus Haynes, the Army Chief of Protocol, walks up in dress blues like a storm, his visage chiseled from granite. He has 2 attendants on either side of him, and his medals shine. He says, "Your Majesty," in a clipped, controlled voice. "With the greatest respect, the sentinels of the tomb do not leave their posts. Not for anyone. Their responsibility lasts forever." Camila turns, and that icy smile stays put. "General, a quick thank you for a sovereign ally wouldn't." "With all due respect, ma'am." Haynes breaks in, his voice getting sharper. "That's not how it works. This guard swears to protect the unknowns. He doesn't move for living people. Not even me." A murmur goes across the crowd. The cameras flash. But Camilla's jaw tightens, and her voice is so low it could cut glass. "Maybe your soldier needs to be reminded who pays for those uniforms." The words linger there, quiet and toxic, but 6 mics pick them up. Haynes's nostrils flare up. Emily gasps. "Uh-oh," Mateo whispers. Elias doesn't move, yet the tiniest muscle in his jaw twitches once. The general stands up straight and speaks with steel. "Ma'am, this uniform was bought with blood, sweat, and tears, with names engraved on stone, and no one is higher than that." People in the crowd start to clap without thinking. Camila's cheeks get red, but not because it's cold. She opens her mouth, but before she can say anything, one of her young, pallid aides leans in and whispers frantically. There was something about optics, press feed, and Buckingham calling. Camila breathes out from her nostrils, like a dragon putting out a fire. She straightens her coat and raises her chin. "Very well," she responds in a calm voice. "Maybe your soldier's silence says more than your diplomacy, General." She turns quickly, her heels clicking like a proud metronome, and walks back to the limo. But not before looking at Elias again. A long, narrow stare that lasts too long to be casual. Elias doesn't blink. The tension goes away like a snapped wire when the motorcade finally leaves. Emily lowers her phone, her hand shaking. Did she really?" Hank shakes his head and smiles. "Ma'am, I've been in 3 wars and 2 divorces, and I've never seen a soldier tell a queen off before." Laughter spreads, clapping. The vets cheered a little, but Elias just stands there, still, quiet. After the plaza clears, his shift ends an hour later. He walks off the mat with that sharp, mechanical precision rifle across his chest, and his steps echo in the marble hallway below the tomb. He lets out a slow breath that he's been holding all day after he can't see him anymore. He hangs the gun up in the locker area, takes off his gloves, and looks at his reflection in the shiny brass nameplate that says K-A-N-E. The promise is still hot in his chest, like it never cooled. He takes out his phone, which is an old broken Samsung that isn't military issue, and scrolls to a voicemail he saved 3 years ago. It comes from a reporter, Clara Bishop. Under the static, her voice is weak. "Elias, I found something you need to see. About Paris. What they buried under Kensington, for example. Call me before someone else does. He never did. 2 days later, she was gone. His grip on the phone gets tighter. He looks up and sees a soldier stuck between duty and ghosts in the mirror. And that's when the knock happens. 2 loud knocks on the steel door. A voice says, "Sergeant Kane," in a suave, formal tone. "You're needed at the command center. Now." Elias puts the phone in his pocket, straightens his uniform, and walks down the hall. The command office is down below the Tomb Plaza, where the walls are decorated with pictures of guards from the past, and the air is frigid and concrete. Each one stopped in the middle of a step or salute. General Haynes is waiting inside. He is by himself, no help, a folder on the desk, and an expression that tells the air is going to grow thick. "Sergeant, close the door." Elias does what he's told, and the latch clicks shut. "Sir." Haynes looks at him for a long time before nodding toward the chair. "Sit." Elias does, and his posture is flawless. Haynes starts by saying, "You were very calm today. More than I can say for Her Majesty. I'm just doing my job, sir." "Good, because your work is about to get hard." He moves the folder across. Red stamp that says classified. Photos within. Black and white still images from surveillance. Camila getting out of a Mercedes in the 1990s when she was younger. Diana in the background. This is the same charity function that Elias had been guarding. Another picture, grainy but clear enough. A man stands behind Camila with his hand on her shoulder. Not known. Then a third picture. A wall. Plaster that is cracked. It looks like there's something metal underneath. Like a concealed compartment. "What is this? What's wrong?" Elias says, his voice steady. Haynes crosses his arms and leans back. 2 weeks ago, maintenance workers at Clarence House found a sealed-off area behind one of the guest room walls. London Metro tried to keep it quiet, but Interpol found out about it before the Royals' attorneys could bury it. We got a copy through defense channels. Elias looks unhappy. "What's in it?" The general breathes out. "A box with a lock. Papers. A few tapes. A tiny box for jewelry." Elias's heart rate goes higher. "Tapes." Haynes gives a nod. "One with Diana's handwriting on it." The room is quite quiet. Elias's throat gets tight. "You mean she left something?" "She did. And suddenly that box is gone. Someone broke the chain of custody by 6 hours. Who do you think has been calling for complete silence from London to DC? Elias doesn't need to make a guess. "Camila." Haynes's eyes became steely. "That's right. And you are the last person who saw Diana's confidential U.S. contact, the man she could trust, the one who heard her remark that people were looking for her." Elias makes a fist with his hand. "Sir, I have permission to speak freely." "Okay. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about the truth." Haynes gives a nod. "That's why we're talking about this in private." He leans in. "You're getting a new job tomorrow. Duty for a short time. Location is classified until the briefing. Sealed orders. When you open them, you'll know." Elias blinks. "Where were you reassigned, sir?" Haynes's voice became rough. "Camilla's son's estate. Virginia's landscape. Property that is protected by diplomatic immunity. We have information that the missing lockbox, or what's left of it, was transferred to the United States last week." Elias's breath stops. "Her son. What does he have to do with this?" "That's what you're going to learn." The general stands up straight and squares his shoulders. "Kane, I don't need to tell you this isn't in the books. For now, you're a ghost." Elias gets up. "Understood, sir." Haynes reaches out with a firm, steady hand. "Son, for what it's worth, Diana chose the right man to trust." Elias holds it tightly. "Then I won't let her down now." The next morning, fog creeps low over the Virginia hills like a secret that won't go away. Elias drives a black government-issued SUV down a winding road that goes through a thick forest. The leaves fall behind him as he goes. The GPS indicates he's 10 miles outside of Leesburg, near an old horse estate with stone fences and wrought iron gates. The land that belongs to Camilla's kid, Thomas Parker Bowles, food critic, close to the royal family, and harmless on paper, but the coordinates in Elias's sealed directives reveal something else. He stops in front of a huge gate. There is a security station nearby, with 2 men in plain clothes, alert eyes, and hands close to hidden holsters. One person steps forward with a clipboard. Name and clearance. Sergeant Elias Kane. Temporary job. The guard looks at a list and then slowly nods. "You are expected. Go ahead and drive." The gates creak open like they do in an old Gothic book. The mansion is in front of you. It's made of red brick. Ivy is growing on the walls, and the windows are tightly sealed even during the day. Elias parks close to the side door. A woman in a charcoal suit welcomes him. She is Margaret Lyle, the estate coordinator. "Sergeant Kane." she says in a seductive voice. Thanks for coming. The family thanks you for being discreet. Her voice sounds overly rehearsed and polished. Where is Mr. Parker Bowles? Inside. He is very stressed out. You'll understand why. They stroll through echoing rooms with pictures on the walls. The old English nobility look down at them with judgmental eyes. At the end of the west corridor, Margaret pauses at a door. This is his study. He hasn't been out of this room in 24 hours. Elias knocks once, and then goes in. There are half-full glasses, papers, and an open laptop on Thomas's desk. He looks pale, tired, and scared. Sergeant Kane, he adds in a shaky voice. They told me you were in the military intelligence. Is that real? Sir, I'm whatever this situation calls for. Thomas swallows and looks around uncomfortably. There's something in this house, behind the walls. Elias looks unhappy. You mean? I heard sounds, empty spaces. We had improvements done months ago, but one of the workmen departed out of the blue. He said he spotted wiring that wasn't shown on the plans. Elias looks at the plaster on the distant wall, which has thin cracks going up and down it like veins. Show me where. Thomas pauses for a moment, before pointing to a built-in bookshelf. Elias grabs the edge and pulls hard, moving the whole device by an inch. A hollow thud. Behind it, you can barely make out the shape of a sealed panel. He kneels down and runs a hand down the seam. When the dust settles, you can see the metal underneath the plaster. This was welded shut. Thomas moves back, his voice trembling. I told you. I warned them there was something in there. Elias pulls a utility knife out of his belt, cuts the edges, and then pulls the panel out. The metal makes a noise and then breaks loose. Behind that, there was blackness, a small crawl space, and in the end, there was a small steel box with the royal emblem on it that was corroded and scratched. Elias lets out a slow breath. Got it. Thomas's voice shakes. Is that? Looks like the box from Clarence's house. Elias carefully reaches in and pulls it out. The metal is cold and heavier than it looks. He puts it on the desk and opens the clasp. There was a stack of papers, a faded Polaroid of Diana and her sons, and a little cassette tape with fine writing on it that said, "For William, if they shut me up." Thomas stares, and the color drains from his face. Good God! Elias's heart beats hard. Call your mom, he says, now. Thomas shakes his head. She lives in Windsor. You think she doesn't already know what's in there? A tremendous bang breaks the silence before Elias can speak. It's the sound of a door bursting open somewhere down the corridor. Sergeant, Margaret's voice echoes. We have a problem. Then there was gunshots. Short, controlled bursts. Elias jumps down low, breaking the glass and drags Thomas down with him. Gunpowder gives out a strong, bitter stench that permeates the air. Thomas is shaking and holding his head. What's going on? Elias moves over to the window and looks through a broken shutter. On the gravel driveway, a black SUV comes to a sudden stop. 3 people in tactical black flow out, silencers, visors, and accuracy. Stay down, Elias says in a low voice. He takes the gun out of its holster and looks inside the chamber. 1 magazine, no backup. Margaret's scream echoes across the hall, and suddenly it's quiet. Elias moves quickly and presses himself against the wall next to the door. His training kicks in. He breathes slowly, focuses on one item at a time, and hears everything extremely clearly. Footsteps, soft and planned. The first attacker comes inside the study. Elias hits the man before he can get out of the way. An elbow to the throat, a knee to the sternum, and the gun falls out of his hand. He turns and fires once, the sound of the gun echoing through the air. The man falls. 2 more come in quickly. In the dark light, muzzle flashes go off. Books caught fire. In the commotion, paper and ash swirl around. Thomas yells. Elias tosses the desk over and pulls Thomas behind it, where bullets hit the mahogany. Who are they? Hey, Elias, he yells. Thomas stutters. My mom said that if anyone ever found it. Found what? Elias barks. The tape. It wasn't meant to be there. Elias reloads with his teeth clenched. Then you should start praying. A gap in time. The sound of shooting stops. Again, silence. Elias hears it. A soft beep. Not gunfire. A bomb. He leaps forward, takes the steel box, puts it under his arm, and pulls Thomas toward the window. Jump. What? Jump. Elias fires twice, breaking the glass, and then he jumps through the frame. They crash into a rosebush below and roll hard onto the wet ground. A second later, the explosion shakes the study. The frame around the window breaks apart. Pieces of glass fall down. Smoke mushrooms into the bleak morning. Thomas coughs, and his face is covered in blood. Oh my God, oh my God. Elias pulls him up and half carries him to the trees. The alarms in the mansion start to ring, and the sound carries across the fields. There are sirens in the distance, but they aren't police, Too quick, too well organized. Who sent them? Elias wants. Thomas looks down to the ground. She did. Elias pauses in his tracks. Camila. Thomas nods, his eyes empty. It was never about the crown or the coronet. It was what the queen hid with it that mattered. Elias grips the steel box more tightly. Then we're not done yet. They get to the edge of the woods. The SUV is on fire behind them, and the smoke rises like a funeral banner. Elias kneels down and opens the box again. The tape inside seems ancient and flimsy. He takes a little field recorder out of his vest pocket, opens it, and puts the tape in. The reel turns. Still. Then there was a voice. Soft, clear. If you can hear this, then they have done it. William, please remember that the truth is not in the throne. It's in what they bury under it. Thomas puts his hand over his mouth. Is that? Elias nods. It's her. It sounds like a ghost that won't stop talking as Princess Diana's voice resonates through the trees. Then there was another sound. Footsteps in the bushes. Elias shoots the recorder and pulls out his rifle, his eyes tightening. A woman comes out of the fog. She's tall and calm, and her coat flutters in the wind. Anne, the princess. Elias lowers his weapon a little, and stares wide-eyed. Ma'am, you can't read Anne's face. You found it, didn't you? Elias gives a nod. She tried to seal it for good. Anne glances at the smoke coming from the mansion. Then you know what comes next. Thomas stumbles forward and begs. Please, I didn't know. I swear. Elias puts a hand on his shoulder. Shish, we'll explain later. Right now we need to get out. She looks at him and Thomas, and then she walks with them. Calm, methodical, like she knows the forest like the back of her hand. The first TTS block ends with the three of them disappearing into the fog, leaving the mansion burning behind them, and the tape and the box with all its secrets. Anne leads them through the thick fog, her coat brushing against branches, her boots silent. Elias keeps the steel box close, his rifle ready. Thomas stumbles, but she steadies him with a firm hand. Behind them, the Parker Bowles estate burns. Flames lick the night sky, smoke twisting into the fog. Elias hears distant sirens, but knows they aren't theirs. They reach a clearing, and she stops. We can't go back, she says. Elias nods. Not yet. Not until we know what's in that tape. Thomas swallows hard, eyes wide. It's her voice, he whispers. Elias flips open the recorder and hits play. Diana's voice fills the clearing. Fragile, strong, commanding. If you hear this, William, the crown isn't the truth. It's in what they hide beneath it. You must know. You must act. Thomas's hand trembles over his mouth. Elias watches Anne carefully, eyes scanning the shadows. We can't let them trace it, she says. Elias nods. We move now, fast, silent. They move through the trees, the tape recording in Elias's pocket, the steel box clutched tightly. Behind them, the estate continues to burn, an ominous glow against the dark forest. Every sound is amplified. The crack of twigs, the rustle of leaves, the distant echo of alarms. Elias feels the weight of the promise in his chest. Diana's words are alive. Anne glances back once, scanning the distance. Camila won't stop, she says, nor her allies. Elias keeps walking, silent, precise. Thomas stumbles again. I'm trying, he mutters. Elias grips his shoulder, steadying him. You're alive. That's what matters. The wind picks up, carrying the faint scent of smoke and wet earth. Anne leads them to a small clearing where a black SUV waits, engine idling, lights off. Elias opens the door. Get in, she commands. Thomas climbs in first, then Elias, then Anne. The vehicle moves quietly through the trees. Behind them, the mansion disappears into the fog, flames still glowing faintly through the smoke. Elias keeps the recorder close, listening. Diana's voice whispers again, fragile yet powerful, promising truths long buried. The forest surrounds them. No one is near. No one can follow. The world outside hasn't yet realized the revelations that are now in their hands. Elias feels the weight of history pressing down, the steel box and tape both heavy with secrets. Anne breaks the silence. The crown is not everything. The truth is. Elias nods, understanding completely. Thomas looks between them, frightened but resolute. What now? Anne glances forward. We bring it to the world, carefully, smartly. Elias grips the recorder again. No one can know until the timing is right. The SUV moves on through the fog, winding through the forest, the distant sounds of chaos and fire fading behind them. Diana's voice plays softly from the recorder, an echo of the past, guiding their steps. Each word is a promise, each sentence a warning. Elias keeps his eyes forward, vigilant, remembering the promise he made 28 years ago at Arlington. Anne finally speaks again, quietly, but with steel in her tone. "We have to protect her truth." Elias exhales slowly. "We will." Thomas swallows hard, still pale, gripping the edge of the seat. "I don't even know where to start." Elias looks at him. "We start with the tape. Then everything else falls into place." Anne watches the road ahead. The fog, the trees, the forest, all seem endless, yet in Elias's mind, a plan is forming, every step measured, precise. Diana's words are their guide, their burden, their mission. The SUV continues, silent in the night, carrying secrets that could shake a monarchy and rewrite history. Elias holds the recorder close, the steel box beside him, feeling the enormity of what they now carry. Outside, the forest whispers, the smoke curls into the fog, and the past begins to collide with the present. The SUV moves through winding roads, silent, like ghosts in the mist. Elias keeps his hands steady on the recorder and steel box. Anne's eyes never leave the road ahead, sharp and alert. Thomas sits frozen, watching shadows pass in the fog. "Where are we going?" he finally whispers. Elias doesn't answer. He focuses on the tape, listening to Diana's words again, letting them guide him. Anne finally speaks. "The city is ready. Washington, the National Mall. The truth will be heard there." Elias nods slowly, processing. "We need everything timed perfectly." Thomas shivers. "And Camila?" Elias glances at him. "She'll try to stop it, but we won't let her." The SUV slips through the night, the mist clinging to the black paint, muting sound. Every mile feels like a heartbeat, measured, tense. The forest opens to roads, and then city lights pierce the fog. Elias's chest tightens. This is where it begins. Anne leans forward slightly. "When we reach the National Mall, we go public. No delays, no interference." Elias grips the recorder tighter. "Everyone will see and hear the truth." Thomas swallows hard, pale and wide-eyed. "This is insane." Elias shakes his head slightly. "No, this is history. This is justice." Anne nods, and Diana's voice must be heard. The world deserves it. They reach a safe house near the mall. The SUV pulls into the shadow of a building. They exit quickly, keeping low, the steel box and recorder secure. The night is silent except for distant sirens and the hum of city lights. Elias checks the tape one last time. Everything is intact. Diana's voice is clear. Every word, every warning. Thomas looks around, nervous. "Are we really going to broadcast this?" Elias turns to him. "Yes. Today the world will hear her. No one can change it." Anne gives a brief nod of approval. "Let's set up." Inside the safe house, they connect the recorder to a live feed. Cameras are ready. Monitors flicker with activity. Elias checks the steel box again. Papers, photographs, cassette tape, all evidence is present. The time is near. Elias takes a deep breath, remembering Arlington, the promise he made, the oath he swore. Anne watches, calm, composed, ready. Thomas still trembles, holding onto the edge of a desk. This is really happening. Elias nods. "It is, and it will change everything." The feed goes live. Cameras, microphones, lights, all operational. Outside, the National Mall is quiet, but filled with anticipation. Elias steps forward, holding the tape, looking at Anne. She gives a subtle nod. "Do it." He presses play. Diana's voice fills the space, delicate yet firm. "If you hear this, it is because I trusted someone to tell my story, to reveal what has been hidden, to expose the truth beneath the crown. Promise me that if I fall, you will tell them who I really was." Thomas gasps quietly. Anne's eyes glisten, focused on the monitors, watching the world receive Diana's words. Elias listens, holding the recorder close, feeling every syllable, every nuance. The feed carries her voice far and wide. Across the world, people stop, watching, listening. Emily Torres is live on camera, broadcasting, narrating softly. "Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing the lost words of Diana, Princess of Wales, hidden for nearly 30 years until now." Elias feels the weight of history, the culmination of decades, the promise kept. Anne's presence is steady beside him. The steel box, evidence of truths long concealed, rests on the desk. The world hears Diana's voice, soft, fragile, indelible. Every sentence resonates, shaking old institutions and reigniting conversations. People in homes, offices, and streets stop, listening. Phones are raised, eyes are wide, faces reflect shock, awe, and reverence. Elias exhales slowly, knowing the oath he swore has been fulfilled. Diana's story, her voice, her truth, alive at last. Anne nods, satisfied, and steps back into the shadows. Thomas finally breathes, overwhelmed but safe. Elias closes his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight lift slightly. The mission is complete, the promise honored, and yet the world is only beginning to react. The world reacts instantly. Social media erupts. News channels replay Diana's words over and over. Hashtags like Diana's Truth trend globally. Buckingham Palace issues a careful statement. People gather in London, leaving candles and flowers. In Arlington, Elias stands on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, steel box in hand, tape recorder playing softly nearby. The wind lifts his hair, flags flap, the past and present collide. He whispers, "Promise kept, ma'am." Behind him, the National Mall is quiet now, but the weight of history presses on everyone who listened. Emily Torres packs up her equipment, exhausted but exhilarated. Thomas stands nearby, shaken, yet safe. Anne disappears into the fog, unseen, leaving Elias to reflect on the magnitude of what was done. Across the ocean, the world digests the revelation. Conversations ignite, debates spark, governments respond. Diana's voice, decades old, changes perspectives, challenges old stories, and empowers new ones. Elias holds the steel box, knowing the secrets it contains are no longer hidden. History has shifted because he kept his word. He sits on the steps, watching the sunrise break over the city. A note in his pocket reminds him of the creed he has carried for 28 years. Lady Sarah Spencer's words linger. "You gave my sister her voice back." He exhales slowly, letting the weight settle. Around him life continues, but nothing is quite the same. Arlington, quiet once more, holds its soldiers, its secrets, and its memories. The tomb of the unknown soldier remains, silent, solemn, eternal. Elias walks back toward it, rifle across his chest, steps precise, measured. He stops at the sarcophagus, first light glinting off the metal. He whispers again, "Promise kept, ma'am." He takes a slow breath, the wind rustling through the headstones. "Truth over titles," he murmurs. The flag waves, the world moves on, and yet, in Arlington, the silence is unbroken. Not broken, not bent, not forgotten. The story is told, the promise fulfilled, and history, finally, has its voice.